Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
If John was beaten up and attacked in that house, who did it?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. And it's not for us to know. Somebody other than Karen is responsible for that, for the killing of John.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay, all the way in the corner here. Just coming back for a short breaking news edition with Karen Reed, and I'm going to be talking about this more tomorrow, but just wanted to serve you the news as it comes in. So, big news in Karen Reed today. We heard that a juror, and I'll just read from X, a juror who sat on the federal grand jury that heard evidence about the FBI investigation into Karen Reed's case has pled guilty to leaking secret information about the witnesses who testified and when their testimony was. It's not clear yet who Jessica Leslie, the grand juror who leaked the secret info, is, or how that information may have been used by the parties who received it. Guess the parties who received it could have been Aidan Carney, could have been Karen Reed and her lawyers. I would have thought that they would have been privy to it anyway, but okay, it's got to be Aidan Carney. Maybe that was talked about a source within. However, the guilty plea and the news that federal prosecutors will ask the judge, so the government is asking the judge to give Ms. Leslie, this is Jessica Leslie, the grand juror, that she only be sentenced to 1 day in prison. It's got to be 1 day in jail. They can't put someone in prison for 1 day, can they? Maybe. And that her sentence be suspended. So they're going to give her 1 day in prison. Okay, this is how it's going to work. So they give her 1 day in prison, and that's just a symbol. A symbol. So it sounds like she's cooperating, and that her sentence be suspended, meaning she doesn't do any time, raises the intriguing possibility that Leslie may be cooperating with a larger federal investigating into improper activity related to the federal grand jury and the Karen Reed case. So much shenanigans. I've never seen a case with so much shenanigans and more like a kangaroo court. I mean, shame on Judge Cannoni, the way she ruled her courtroom. It was absolutely revolting. I've never seen a courtroom I've never seen a judge have such little control over a courtroom ever. And just the things she allowed. You just get rid of the buffer zone and just allow a huge, you think that's not going to influence the case? She did everything to get Karen Reed off. She's she knows how, all these lawyers and judges know how innocence fraud works. A drag-cut woman who sat on the federal grand jury that investigated the state's handling of Karen Reed's murder case has been charged with criminal contempt for allegedly linking information about the secret proceedings. Jessica M. Leslie, 34, was charged Friday in federal court in Boston with 1 count of criminal contempt and has agreed to plead guilty, according to an announcement Tuesday by U.S. Attorney Leah B. Foley and Ted E. Docks, special agent in charge of the FBI Boston office. Leslie is accused of disclosing sealed information about the secret grand jury proceedings between August 11th, 2022 and March 4th, 2024, including the names of various witnesses who appeared before the grand jury, the substance of their testimony, and other evidence presented to the grand jury in violation of federal rules and a court order. This could be a big story. Okay. Another Nebercracker writes, Jessica Leslie just pled guilty to criminal contempt for spilling sealed grand jury secrets, and the deal on the table is 1 day deemed served. Translations, the feds dug her out from deep in the weeds. This kind of cupcake sentence only shows up when the witness is more useful talking than rotting. They yanked a thread and she's the first stitch to pop. So she sang. The real goal is the roadmap, and she just handed them every phone that pinged Leslie from 2022 to 2024 is now Exhibit A, unless they're talking on an encrypted app that auto deletes. Then what are you going to find? Then you need more people to talk, and good luck with that. That's the problem, is that Karen Reed and her criminal lawyers all act like criminals. They all strangely carry themselves in a way that looks like they're covering up for doing something very wrong. Bottom line, first domino just hit the table. The rest are about to fall. I don't know. Every time this side, I don't know what's about to happen. If you're thinking that Karen Reed, they always protect the lawyers. Yannetti and Jackson will get off. Maybe they're going to try to go after Karen Reed, but good luck with that. The whole Hall of Massachusetts is treating her like she's Lady Diana. So then she's going to look like she's even more gone after. But let's see the way that this goes. I just wanted to give you a little. This just broke a couple of hours ago it's called While I Was Editing. Here is the Boston. I think this is Boston News. Oh, the Globe. This is the Boston Globe. Shelley Murphy writes, a Dirac Hot woman who sat on the federal grand jury that investigated the state's handling of the Karen Reed murder case has been charged with criminal attempt for allegedly leaking information about the secret proceedings. Jessica Leslie, I've read this before, but I'll read it again, was charged Friday in federal court in Boston with 1 count of criminal contempt and has agreed to plead guilty, according to an announcement Tuesday by U.S. Attorney Leah B. Foley and Teddy Docks, special agent in charge of the FBI's office. A plea agreement signed by Leslie Tuesday say the government and defense have agreed to recommend that she be sentenced to 1 day deemed served, meaning she will not spend any time in prison if the judge adopts the recommendation, which they will. Come on, it's Massachusetts. A hearing has yet to be set. Leslie is accused of disclosing sealed information about the secret grand jury proceedings between August 11th and March 4th, including naming various witnesses who appeared before the grand jury, the substance of their testimony, and other evidence presented to the grand jury in violation of federal rules and a court order, according to the statement. Officials did not disclose that Leslie was sitting on the grand jury hearing evidence about the state prosecution. The officials did not disclose that Leslie was sitting on the grand jury hearing evidence about the state prosecution of Reed, who was acquitted by a jury in June of killing her boyfriend, police officer John O'Keefe, in 2022. However, 2 people familiar with the allegations confirmed she was accused of leaking information about Reed's related to case. So they're saying that they did not know she was sitting on. So this is a little different than we heard before. They did not disclose that Leslie was sitting on the grand jury. She might have just gotten these grand jury transcripts somewhere else. Isn't that what they're saying here? Attorney Keith Halpern, who represents Leslie, declined to comment Tuesday. She's been charged in an information in an information of federal charging documents that signals that a plea agreement has been reached. A change of plea hearing has yet to be scheduled. So I'll keep you guys posted, but I think there's concern. The problem is, I mean, this is the problem I see, and I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I guess I will. The problem is with innocence fraud campaign that really infects a jury like this. So much of this was done by Karen Reed's lawyers, and no federal appointed attorney is going to go after her lawyers. And that's really what has to be done to bring this down. So they may go after Karen Reed, they may go after Aidan Carney, but you have to really go after the head of the snake, which is Karen Reed's lawyers. And we know that they were in contact with Aidan Carney through the most witness harassment. And we know that they talked to journalists like Gretchen Voss and said, don't write about this until we leak some piece of information to infect the jury pool, to change public opinion about this case, to essentially try this case in the course of public opinion until we put it in an unrelated filing. So we know that they operated, we know that they talked to their own witnesses on encrypted apps. They're hired expert witnesses on encrypted apps that auto-deleted so that they could avoid discovery. We know how many Rule 14 violations they went through. They conducted themselves in a very criminal manner in this case, and that's the issue, is that lawyers all protect each other and they won't go after the real fraudsters. It's not just Karen Reed, it's Karen Reed and her lawyers that did this, because they're ultimately not very good lawyers, because good lawyers win by lawyering in court. They win by committing, this is my opinion, fraud. I think I have good evidence of it. Come at me, David Yannetti and Alan Jackson, by committing fraud, a fraud upon the court. That's what it's why it's called the innocence fraud. So this may be a very interesting turn of event. It's a very interesting turn of events, regardless of what happens with it. But for all those who say, "Oh, look, she got a not guilty verdict. It was in a court of law." I mean, this was like a straight up kangaroo court, so corrupted. I can't take her verdict seriously. Yeah, it's my right not to take it seriously, or take it seriously if I want. But I don't take it seriously. I had predicted that she would probably get off, and that none of the evidence mattered, that these juries had been infected with the ideology of innocence fraud, had their own agendas, with hating the police, wanted to give the middle finger to the man. And many of them were out to get her off on the serious charges and ignore all the evidence, which is quite substantial, that shows that Karen Reed ran over John O'Keefe with her 6,000-pound SUV, or clipped him, ran over. It makes it sound like a more normal, front collision. It was a rear collision. She backed into him with her 6,000-pound SUV going 24 miles an hour with her foot 74.5% down on the gas pedal. I mean, if the free Karen readers want to call that a normal reverse, and right after that, his phone, and he never moves again. They can't put those two things together. And then she calls him and tells him she hates him because she hadn't quite got out all her anger, and calls him a pervert, etc. And then breaks into his house like a burglar and plots up a way to evade responsibility for mortally wounding or killing John O'Keefe. That's how that went down. So I'll keep you posted. I'll stay on this. I'll be talking about this some more. I just wanted to come up and give an update really quick. So have a great night, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll be following Jessica Leslie and her federal conviction for leaking grand jury information. Very going to be fascinating to watch who she leaked it to and who's involved. But I say they're not going to go after the lawyers, and that's the issue here. These lawyers are, it's like The Sopranos. Been watching The Sopranos. Can you tell? It's not just the husband who's the problem. It's the wife. It's not just Karen Reed who's the problem. It's not just Eden Carney who's the problem. It's her lawyers. They're really the problem, and you got to go after them. They need to be held accountable before we can bring this fraud down. It is so dangerous to the American way of life, to victims' families, to human beings. It's the perversion of everything that's right and good in our society. Have a great night, everybody.
I hit my boyfriend with my car. It wasn't an accident, but with lying lawyers I'll go far. Lying lawyers and witness harassment. I'll avoid prison. It was snowing. I pushed the pedal down, hit him hard. Now the legal system I clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my second victim. Carry, carry, gin, gin. Like John, you were my mark. My innocence fraud campaign is my biggest hit. Yet. I hit my boyfriend with my car. It wasn't an accident, but with lying lawyers I'll go far. Lying lawyers and witness harassment. I'll avoid prison. It was snowing. I pushed the pedal down, hit him hard. Now the legal system I clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my second victim.